wife wasn't mad at him. But it is great to see such a big turnout here tonight and see such enthusiasm. The last time I was in this room was to serve in a similar capacity for another college that had an event like this. And yeah, I don't want to embarrass them, so I won't mention that. It was Boston College. And, yeah, it was a small group and not very enthusiastic. And I said to the guy running it, the equivalent of Tim, you know, what's wrong with the group? Is it ignorance or apathy? And the guy said, I don't know and I don't care. I don't think they liked my opening joke, and it didn't go very well, because when I got up to this podium, I looked out at all the BC people. I said, I hope you'll bear with me, but I tend to get nervous around really successful and intelligent people, which is why I've always felt so comfortable at a Boston College gathering. I do feel very comfortable here at Fenway Park. Before the current ownership group put me in the witness protection program, I spent 17 years here, had the benefit of being here in 2004. You know, it took 86 years to turn that around. I know Doug's going to get this thing turned around that we're here to talk about tonight a lot faster than the 86 years. But I think back to all the great memories that I had around some of the characters that I met right here at Fenway Park. I was watching the Red Sox game against Cleveland last night in Cleveland. Reminded me of my experiences with Oil Can Boyd, who was certainly not a geography graduate of Syracuse University. Back in the old ballpark in Cleveland, right up on the shores of Erie, you know, that 80,000 seat stadium, Oil Can, many of you remember this, pitched a game one night. He was working on a shutout in the 6th inning. Red Sox were ahead 2-0, and the fog came pouring in. And they stopped the game for a while, and after about an hour, the umpires came out with a fungo bat, and they hit some balls straight up into the fog, and you couldn't see the ball, so they called it a game, and Oil Can got credit for a complete game shutout. So we were down in the locker room after the game interviewing, and then we said, Oil Can, what do you think about this development? And he said, that's what happens when you build a ballpark right on the ocean. Another one of our great thinkers that I've been around was Roger Clemens, who complained many times that he was misinterpreted and taken out of content, which I'm not sure what that means. I asked him one time, he was pitching on an extra day of rest, 5 days rest. I said, what do you think about 5 days rest? He said, I don't like it. It makes me too erotic. And I think he meant erratic, but I'm not quite sure. And it was here at Fenway Park that I met my idol, broadcasting idol, Harry Carey, who is not a Syracuse graduate, but I'd like to make him an honorary one because he was tremendous, as most of you know. A long time with the Chicago White Sox, doing radio, and then the Chicago Cubs on TV and radio, and left me with some of my most vivid broadcast memories. One of them, when he was on the radio with the White Sox, and he was in the old press box before they did this beautiful renovation on the roof here at Fenway. The engineers, and if you watched Harry over the years on WGN, you heard him do this, the engineers would get mad because Harry was always clearing his throat right into the microphone and coughing, even though we have cough buttons on our headsets that you can clear your throat. Harry couldn't figure it out. So the engineer rigged up a system. He told Harry, when you want to cough or clear your throat, I'm going to rig your microphone up to this light bulb. Raise your hand, I'll turn off the mic. The light will go off, you can cough. When you're ready to go in, raise your hand again. I'll turn your mic on, the light will come on, go. So for several weeks, this system's working well. Harry's raising his hand, the light goes off, he coughs. The light comes back on, he goes again. So one day, he raises his hand, the light bulb doesn't go off. He's right up here at Fenway Park. Raises his hand again, the light bulb doesn't go off. So he turns around, and the engineer's not there, so he unscrewed the light bulb and coughed right into the microphone and threw the light bulb back in. But all of us, you know, Raftery and I and Jay, we try to push the envelope of what we can say that's appropriate or kind of on the line. A lot of times there's double entendre and innuendo, and, you know, I think we pushed the envelope. And then I remember back to Harry Carey, and I wrote this down just so I could quote it verbatim. The early season game at Wrigley Field on WGN, a small crowd, brutal, windy, wind blowing in at Wrigley kind of day, and they take the shot of the young couple under the blanket, cuddling very affectionately. And Harry Carey said on the air, they're playing the old ballpark kissing game. He kisses her on the stripes, and she kisses him on the... Never mind, I won't say that. Syracuse people, so you can figure out the ending. But we're here to talk about Syracuse football, and I've had a great affection for Syracuse football since my days as a student at Syracuse. I was there for the first years of Coach McPherson, who remains one of my dear friends. I had the great opportunity, the great pleasure to work for him for 3 years as a work-study student, stuffing envelopes and sending out the mailers to recruits and getting coffee for the coaches. But it was really fun to be around him. I still have not understood a single word Coach Mack has said to me, actually, in the 30 years or so that I've known him. But, you know, he inherited our football program at a time when the win-loss record was similar, and obviously he took it to great things, including that Sugar Bowl game that we all remember. And when I have talked to Doug, and I've talked to people who know Doug, and I think a lot of you have had the chance to speak with him, I see a lot of the same qualities in Doug that I saw in Coach Mack. The great affection for Syracuse University, which I think first and foremost is going to be the key to convincing young people to come to Syracuse. Obviously, he has the tremendous background. And the graduation rate's great, but that's when you say when you're 3 and 9. You know, we want to be here. At least we have it. You know, there are 3 and 9 schools that maybe don't graduate anybody either. And I, you know, just talk about the record. And I was in Japan at the end of the last football season, and I was walking around the streets of Tokyo with a guy, and I had on a Syracuse sweatshirt. And a Japanese fellow came over to me and said, Syracuse, good football. I said, well, yeah, usually, but this year, in the last couple of years, not so much. No, good football. I said, yes, most of this time, over the years, traditionally, yes, but right now, no. No, good football now. So I looked at the tour guide, and the tour guide said, you have to understand, over here we read from right to left, so he thinks you're 9 and 3. So I hope not to have any more international experiences like that as we go along. But it is my great honor and privilege to introduce our new head football coach. During the selection process, I was one of those people who talked to Darryl Gross. Actually, I shouldn't say that. I had conversations with Darryl. I never have actually spoken to Darryl because I didn't want to interrupt him. It was obvious from the very beginning of the process that the people on the committee were very, very excited about Doug and all the things that he stands for, his great affection for the school, his background both in college and pro football, his days at Syracuse, where he was an honor student, spent a lot of his academic time saying, yes, Your Honor, no, Your Honor. He's an outstanding player. You can all read his resume and you know what a great background he has in coaching. I think he's the perfect choice to be our next head football coach. He is our head football coach, and we're delighted that he's here in Boston with us tonight. Please welcome the coach of the Marrone.